Hey mathematicians, we're jumping into 6.5 rate of change today, which is really similar to what we've been working with. I mean, we were working with velocity in one dimension, or motion in one dimension, and that's just a rate of change position. And we can continue with that idea if you're talking about rate of change of anything, like maybe your height above ground based on the time passing on a Ferris wheel, right? You go up, you come down, it's sinusoidal, that's fine, right? And you can call that the change in the height based on the change in time, right? Or h prime of t. They are synonymous, right? Maybe you're talking about the volume of air in somebody's lungs, and it's based on time. You could say the lung capacity, the change in capacity based on time, or c prime of t. So let's try that with finance. So they said estimate future profits of a small business are given by this function in thousands of dollars, and they want you to find a couple of things to increase profit, right? So they said, what's the current annual profit? Well, this is the profit based on time in years from now. So current is 0 years from now, so you can plug in P of 0, you'd plug in 0 into all the t values, right, which becomes 0. That becomes 0, and you're left with this 118, right? So this should be at year 0, you have 118, it's in thousands of dollars, so this should be $118,000 as our profit right now. Cool, so that's A, fine. In B, they said find the change based on the change of the profit based on the change in time, like as the time goes on, and that just means dp dt is finding the derivative. The derivative is the slope of the tangent, and that's the change going on right now or at a certain point. So this is really p prime of t. So that should be what, 4t, I'm differentiating this, so 4t to the first minus 12. And so there's your dp dt, right? The change in time, the change in profit over time. All right, fine. So that's A and B. Then they said, what's the significance of dp dt? This is how is your profit changing based on the number of years that go by, right? And you can look into it and say, hey, I know at 0 we would be at 4 times 0, so we'd have negative change in profit. We'd be going downhill, right? In our profit until a certain amount, you'd be negative. So the significance is it's the change in profit over time. And this is where it becomes sort of interesting. For what values of t will the profit decrease? This means like how many years, between which years will you be decreasing your profit? So we want this to be negative, right? So we want to say how many years, what years will our change in profit be less than 0, maybe less than or equal to 0. And so you could add 12 to both sides, divide by 4, and you get t is less than 3. So up to 3 years, then maybe you'd say this as well, right? Because we started the company at 0 years, maybe. So I bet they'd leave it like this. So between 0 and 3 years, your profit is going to decrease, right? Because we're using this dp/dt formula. When is it going to increase? Well, when our change in profit over time is bigger than 0. And so you'd get what? Above 3, when t is bigger than 3. So you got to hold on and make ends meet for 3 years, and then you'll see the profits increasing. Cool, so that's that and that. And then when does the minimum profit occur? Well, the minimum profit occurs when your change stops going downhill, starts going uphill, right? So when in E, this happens when 14 minus 12 equals 0. All right, it stops going downhill, profits start coming uphill, you bottom out, and that's when you make the minimum profit. So at t equals 3, they said what's the minimum profit, so you use your 3 and you plug it in there and there, right? And so the minimum profit happens at year 3, so you get 2 times 3 squared minus 12t, 12 times 3, sorry, plus 118. Cool, you crunch those numbers and whatever you get out of there. Nice, okay. Find dPdt for these values. Well, okay. Oh, and also what do the figures represent? So let's just do it for 4. All right, so let's pick a different color. Purple, sweet. So we want dPdt, well, let's try, I like this notation a little bit better, this p prime of 4. And so that really means we're going to use this. So 4 times 4 minus 12. This finds this as 16 minus 12, so 4. So what do these figures represent? This means that at year 4, our change in profit is $4,000. Right, so it's positive, so it's increasing by $4,000 a year at year 4. You could do the same thing for 10 and 25, and you'll see that keeps going up. Cool. You're just looking at a function, you're finding the change with the derivative, and then you're applying it. The same things as we've been working on before. You're welcome to dig through this one. It's a little bit contrived, but it's about spatial awareness. And here's somebody not having spatial awareness. But I think that with this, you have enough information to keep going from there. Here's this piece and this piece. All right. Good luck. I'll see you in a bit.